It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. I'm Jeff Grubb. I write for GamesBeat.com. This is the Game Mess Show live. Summer Game Fest is about to start, actually. I'm looking at a countdown timer that I'm pretty sure is going to lead into another countdown timer. It says 41 minutes and 9 seconds. How's everybody doing? I'm feeling pretty good. Got some of our work done. Me, Mike, Dean, and Jason have all been working behind the scenes at GamesBeat. Make sure we have stories ready to go as they come up for stuff that we do know about. We've got a few embargoes, obviously can't talk about any of that stuff. But we're still expecting some surprises. I wanted to do one last. Here, let me move the chat over here. For some reason, the chat in the Twit or in the OBS is broken. Move it over here. There we go. Want to do one last check-in with everybody. Obviously, we'll answer some questions. It's always a fun time. But also, I wanted to kind of just talk to everybody about kind of what to expect. I think Jeff Keeley's probably done a pretty good job this year putting together a pretty good Summer Game Fest. I wouldn't expect non-stop bangers. Not everything. There's only one Elden Ring, right? There's one Elden Ring, and then he's going to have stuff that feels like it could have popped up in, any other show. It could have popped up at the PC Gaming Show. It could have popped up at Guerrilla Collective. There's going to be a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, I think he's going to have a few more surprises other than Elden Ring. So that'll be nice. And really, I'm just at this point, I'm just looking forward to it. We're so close. There's no point in trying to figure it out anymore. Let's go ahead and just see it for ourselves and see what they have. Obviously Elden Ring's the big thing. I think if you've been paying attention to Jeff Keeley's tweets this week, it seems pretty obvious that he hasn't tried to hide it very well, which is one of the things that made me feel okay about saying he does have it, is that he's been teasing it himself. So it's okay, I feel pretty good about that. He obviously can't say that. I can, and is it a dick move to sort of cut the rug out from underneath him like that? I think he's enjoyed it. From a distance, it seems like he is enjoying getting our Elden Ring community and everyone that's in that fan base excited and everything. I'll say, I did a list of key things that I thought might be worth talking about for the rest of the rest of E3 and the rest of Summer Game Fest and really the rest of the mess. Really, a lot of these things are stuff we talked about before. I will say, I've now heard. Square Enix is coming up pretty soon. I've now heard that Final Fantasy 1 through 6, collection multiple times in multiple places. I don't think that's too big of a surprise. Everyone's heard that they changed the names of the Final Fantasy games on Steam, I think, or maybe on mobile. And so maybe this is them bringing back the original versions or maybe better updates, hopefully. You know what? Let's go back to Summer Game Fest again real quick. Kojima is one that people always think could show up at a Jeff Keeley show. They're best buds. They make out almost constantly all the time. And doesn't it make a lot of sense for Hideo Kojima to show up here if he's got an Xbox deal in the works? The Xbox deal will not show up here. That's not ready yet. So as I've said before, if you've been a regular watcher of the show, and I know that, as we get closer to E3, more and more people are watching, so I do need to repeat this stuff sometimes. But Kojima is that deal with Xbox. It's still in the works. I still believe that they will close it. I think both parties have every intention of closing it. Both sides are getting ready for a world where they are working together on a game. What that game is, it almost might not matter. I think that's kind of how this project is going right now, where it's it almost doesn't matter. The whole idea is enable Kojima to make a cloud-based game with Microsoft. That's the whole idea. And so beyond that, what the game looks like, not many people know, because I don't think Kojima himself knows. But the point is, do you expect to see Hideo Kojima on stage today? If he shows up there, he could show up for something else. I have no idea what else Hideo Kojima could be working on. I would think that he would not. There's nothing in the Microsoft deal that would prevent him from working with other companies. If he does want to go do another thing with PlayStation, he would have every right to do so, as long as he was able to, meet the deadlines that he's supposed to meet with Microsoft. There's no exclusivity deal and no non-compete clause in there, so he would have every right to do that if he so chooses. So if he does show up today, it might be something like that, but that is not even speculation. I'm not even speculating that. I'm just explaining the circumstances under which we might see Hideo Kojima today. So yeah, when do we see that Xbox Hideo Kojima deal? I still think it's going to be at the Game Awards later this year. I think that makes the most sense. That timing just works out a lot better. Gives them a lot of time to maybe create some assets to actually put on stage. And you know those boys are going to want to get together around the holidays. You know, at that the Game Awards when it happens in like December, right? Late November. You know that Hideo and Jeff are going to want to sit down for a late Thanksgiving meal together. So they'll make it happen around then. So we got Hype Train. Thank you, everybody. Let's see, from Reservoir Doug's, Mr. Lambs 45, Vendor Punked. What's up, Vendor? Giggy Sam Cheer 31 bits, and then Mr. Man Hatter Mike. Thank you all for the subscriptions. I really appreciate it. Mr. Lamb says, thanks for all the great content you put out. No, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Don't tell Kojima about don't tell Kojima's wife about Keeley. Yeah, everyone keep it cool, all right? Everyone keep that stuff cool, all right? Let these people let love live. Tom Warren and Colt Eastwood are hinting at 3 Microsoft acquisitions now because the PR release today said more than 23 studios. So, yeah, there's a lot of talk about Xbox acquisitions. I am still personally skeptical that anything will get done in time for E3, but it does seem like they are going fast. Like they are trying to put this stuff together very quickly. Because the last I heard about it, you know, I checked in on all this stuff last week. And the studios that are being mentioned, and I don't know if I'm necessarily going to repeat them here right this second. Let's just wait and see. I don't think we need to like. I don't have the facts enough to like repeat that stuff. But the names that are being mentioned, like last week, like within 10 days at least, or at the most, I was hearing no, there's no talks of acquisition. And that stuff was and it's the kind of thing that would have been out there. And I think this is stuff that has really heated up in the last week. And it does make some sense based on the suggested partners, just based on you know, Microsoft is investing a lot in these companies. They're a lot of them are studios Microsoft's already working with, and I think it might make sense from that side. But I think there's another side to it where, you know, Microsoft already has the deals in place, already giving them money to make a game. Maybe let them make the game, and let's see what happens, and then see if they're actually worth acquiring at that point. But I don't know. Now, a lot of questions. Hang on, there's a few other things I wanted to touch on. There's gonna be some Game Pass happenings during the Xbox showcase. A lot of Game Pass stuff. I teased that RPG that's gonna come to it. I think a few people might have put 2 and 2 together there and figured out what it was. I was not subtle. If you go to the YouTube video, there's a very easy answer there. But that'll be like one of the big tent poles that they have. But they've got some other stuff that'll be happening, coming to Game Pass around that same time. They'll talk about stuff like preloading Psychonauts 2, I believe. There's another thing though that I've had trouble figuring out what it was. I've heard a name. I'll just say it. It's something like Project Athens or something. I've had a lot of people ask me about it, like behind the scenes. I've been asking about it. I don't necessarily know where it comes from, but it does seem like there's some smoke there. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I'm at a loss, honestly. The best guess that I have right now is that it is somehow related to Halo and maybe like a multiplayer test or something. But that's just a guess. That is speculation. So I don't know. I kind of want to just, at this point, I'm like trying to put it out there to see if anyone wants to come and tell me what it is. Because I've done a lot of digging and come up empty-handed on that. Any mic drop moments, or do we pretty much know the big announcements that will be coming? I hope there are some mic drop announcements from everybody involved. I think that a lot of stuff has leaked. I think, you know, the mic drop moments are going to come on the execution, right? If Starfield looks as good as it can, if Omen and Project Typhoon, if those look as good as they can, those could be mic drop moments where it's like, hey, we got these really awesome games that you're dying to play. They're in the works. They're coming. They're still a ways off, but they're coming. You know, Nintendo could surprise us with, you know, some cool Zelda stuff. I do think, you know, I think we're going to get a lot of stuff that we're expecting. Like, there's a lot of rumblings. Like, I've heard in multiple places now for the Nintendo show, or I guess Ubisoft, Mario plus Rabbids 2. That's in a lot of places now, and seems like that's very likely. But I mean, is that a mic drop moment? I mean, it again depends on execution. If it is just like a map pack from Mario plus Rabbids, then it's going to be kind of disappointing, right? But if it's if they take it and go, like I was talking about this with Nate on the Nate the Hate show yesterday, I think it went up today. You know, Nate was saying like they need to like take it as far as they can, and I was thinking like, yeah, they need to really make it different and wild and bring like Wario and Waluigi in there and all kinds of other characters and give it a ton more like Nintendo flavors, like the Mushroom Kingdom flavor. Maybe bring in even some other Nintendo characters. There's a lot they could do there to make this, to like step that up and make it feel like almost a Smash Brothers of strategy games or whatever. But yeah, again, I think that this stuff is going to come down to whether or not they can present these games in a way that is exciting. I do not expect very many from anybody this year. I don't expect very many. Here is the title screen for Metroid Prime 4 and everyone freaks out. Like those kinds of announcements, I think we're going to be short on those this year, and that makes sense. I think just based on where we are in terms of the console cycles and the announcement cycles, where last year we got a lot of that stuff. We learned about Final Fantasy 16 last year, right? So we're not going to get Final Fantasy 16 announced this year. We might learn more about it, and it could look very cool. And I expect I do think we will hear more about Final Fantasy 16 this year, this E3, and I do hope it looks cool. And that's the kind of stuff that we're kind of that's what we're due for. We're not due for a lot of out of left field, out of nowhere E3 of dreams surprises. And I think at a certain point, like that's almost better, where it's like we know a lot of games are coming. Let's just see them and say that, like, tell us when they're coming and let us know what's happening. I mean, on that front, I do think something like Mario plus Rabbids 2 is important to help like fill out Nintendo's release calendar this year. They'll have a lot of stuff for later this year, but they want about one big game that's, if not published by them, like published like by a partner like Ubisoft to come later this year. And I think Microsoft's feeling the same thing, where I think we'll get like Age of Empires in late October. We'll get Forza Horizon 5 in early November. So that's like, when does Halo come out? I think people are saying September. I wouldn't be surprised if Halo was December. They're going to say holiday. November, early November for Forza Horizon 5 leaves a big window at the end of November, before Thanksgiving for Halo. That's probably what they're aiming for. I don't know the date for Halo. I think they're going to say holiday 2021 still when we get there. Flight Sim releases next week. I think Flight Sim is releasing soon. I think you're going to be able to pre-install Flight Sim on console through Game Pass at the show, and that means it should be coming pretty soon. I can't remember the exact date. I think we'll see Beyond Good and Evil 2 resurface. Ask Semiotic. I don't know. I'm not betting on it. I'm not betting on it. God, what else? What else is there? A lot more Bethesda stuff should be coming to Game Pass too. That'll be nice. We'll have a story on that when it happens. We should definitely see Guardians of the Galaxy from Square. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I touched on most of the stuff I wanted to talk about here. There's still like more details for Halo that I could go over, but I feel like we're close enough now that I'm torn, because I'm like, I want to set expectations, and I feel like I've done it over and over and over, but I still feel like people, like last week, the director came out and said, oh, there's a lot of misinformation out there, or a lot of insiders are saying some fake stuff, and I think that's because like there's been talk about like that 50 versus 50 big team battle and a September release, and I don't think any of that stuff is on the table. Definitely not for this trailer. The 50 versus 50 big team battle 2.0 or whatever could happen, but I don't think they're talking about it at the C3, and I think that's what he's referring to. Got my kid yelling at me. Let's do some questions, and then yeah, and then we'll start getting pumped up for Summer Game Fest. So I see people have been asking a lot of questions. I'm sorry I missed a lot. Reservoir Doug here did cheer 100 bits. So let's answer this. I'm out of the loop on Wolfenstein 3. Any chance of word on it? Cheers for all your hard work, Nick. Thank you, Reservoir Dougs. Wolfenstein 3 is one that I don't think will be at this show, and I haven't heard anything about it. I am concerned that we won't get it for quite some time. I think what happened was that a lot of the team helped out with Wolfenstein Youngblood, and I do think a lot of other teams are contributing to Starfield. I think there's a chance Machine Games could be touching on that. I don't know for sure, but I'm like, there's a chance. So like the reason I bring this up is, what were they doing up until they got the Indiana Jones license? Weren't they making Wolfenstein 3? That was what I was always hoping and thinking, and like in my heart it was like, that's why we're probably going to see it this year, and they'll get that out, and then everyone will get to work on Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is so early, they're probably like pre-production and trying to figure stuff out. But now it sounds like maybe they weren't as far on Wolfenstein 3 as I thought they could have been, and so I honestly don't know what's happening with it, and it seems like we might not hear about it again for quite some time. I hope I'm like way off on that. I hope I'm just not hearing about it because it's something they're just keeping close to the vest until next year or something. But I don't expect it at this E3. All right, we got. Oh wow, okay, hang on, let's see here. So a bunch of subscriptions. I'm trying to see where this started. JGS Fast Forward with the Prime sub, ADH Gamer with a tier 1, Al Cinephilo with the Prime, Gigi-san gifted a tier 1 sub to a friend named Lee, Mondo625 with the Prime sub, Mr. Devious, Yami Seth. Thank you all so much. This is fantastic. And then we got a few bits here as well. I should catch up on. Vanderpunk, cheer 69, cheer 69. Thank you for the 207 bits, which is divisible by 69. Mogos 87 cheered 100 bits. Able to the Moon cheered 100 bits. Vanderpunk with another 207 bits once again. And he said, to the Eco God. I definitely want to play another game of Eco. We answered this Reservoir Doug's question, and thank you again for that. Mr. Devious. Cold Eastwood said 26 studios is better than 23 studios. Tom Warren agreed with him. Lol. Cheered 100. Oh, so, I mean, man, it does seem like there's a lot of smoke here. And I think that, why are they rushing it if not to get into E3, right? If they got this done, they must be trying to get into E3. And I guess it is something that they could just snap in there as a real quick video segment. Hang on. Yeah, like I said, I think that there is a lot of smoke here. Why else would they be rushing it if not to get into E3? And the studios that have been floating around make a lot of sense. It's the studio related to Project Typhoon. It's, I don't know. I'm like hesitant to say, I guess this is just a rumor. I'll just say it's just a rumor at this point. But it's everywhere. So it's Avalanche, IOI, and what is the other one? I can't remember the other one. Who's the third one? Help me out, chat, because I'm just completely blanking on it. Crytek, yes, Crytek. I don't know. That's a lot of studios, and I guess I've said it a bunch of times. Microsoft has a lot of money in the bank, and keeping that money in the bank, keeping that money wherever they're keeping it in bonds or whatever. There's not a lot of great places to put a ton of money right now. You are basically going to be losing the value of that money very quickly as inflation hits. Inflation is just going to crush a lot of the worth of this money very soon. Prices are going up everywhere. It's just a reality, and these executives know that just keeping the money on the side is, keeping it in their mattress doesn't make a lot of sense. And really, that's kind of where they're stuck at, because interest rates are so low, and there's negative interest rates still in many places, and trying to go and buy municipal bonds is a lot of work. At a certain point, why not just go and spend that money on something that has a lot of value to your core goals and purposes? And in gaming, that is creating content for Game Pass. And there are studios out there that are that are willing to sell right now because they're kind of at the peak of what they will be worth because gaming did so well and there's a lot of demand, and Microsoft's not the only buyer. Tencent's out there kind of pushing up prices higher. So if Microsoft is willing to spend the money, these companies are like really considering it because they know down the line they might not be in such a good position where they could demand as much money as they could right now. So circumstantially, everything still lines up on that side of things. I'll just say, I'll repeat what I said earlier in the stream because there's a lot more people watching now. You know, as recently as a couple weeks ago, not even like a week and a half ago at most, there was not a lot of talks about acquisitions with many of these studios, and these studios some of them have ongoing relationships with Microsoft, and so they wouldn't, if acquisitions are on the table at that point, they would have been a big point of like, you know, answering questions about that and being willing to talk about that, and everyone involved would have known. And it just seems like that stuff is popping up really recently. Now, part of this just could be that maybe they were feeling the heat about this E3. Maybe they were worried about this E3 not fulfilling everyone's hopes and dreams. Part of that is this year, so we talked about it. They're going to have Age of Empires 4 releasing. They're going to have Forza Horizon 5 releasing in November. They'll have Halo, and that's kind of it. There's a few other smaller things here or there. Next year, they're going to have Starfield and another Forza Motorsport. And so, like, and they could start promising games, you know, way down the line, but they've already done a lot of that. So we're kind of waiting to get to next E3, like I've said many times now, to see like what's going on with Perfect Dark and Avowed and Fable and on and on and on. And all that stuff could be really mind-blowing, but that's a long time to wait. That's a full year from now before like really we start seeing that stuff again at the next E3, most likely. And so maybe like they're just feeling the heat and they're like, hey, you know, we need people to get excited about Game Pass. What can we do? How can we really make that work? You know, I'm sure they've looked at Warner Brothers stuff over and over again. But buying a couple other developers that have some IP associated with them that are already working with Microsoft on a few things could make some sense. This is all speculation for me, though. I haven't been able to confirm that it's all going to happen. It seems like many other people feel very confident about it, though. And I'll say at the very least, with this much smoke, I am sure the conversations are happening at this point. They must be. From Cool Dude, shoot. Heard anything cool about, or heard anything about Avowed? Just that I'm pretty sure still it will not be at this E3. Let's take a look here. Let's see if there's any other. Yeah, cool. Batman Dude cheered 100 bits. Anything on Gotham Knights or Suicide Squad? Just that I think we're not going to hear about those until at the earliest DC Fandom. They'll probably give us updates at DC Fandom. The tone there, or that tone there, no, I'm sorry, that one there, cheered 100 bits. Thank you. Alexander Dark with a tip, and R Phelps 81 subscribed with the Prime sub. Thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate the support. Let's do a few more questions, and we will start wrapping up here pretty soon, because we should get ready for Summer Game Fest. They're going to start the pre-show here in about 16 minutes. From Blackheart Vinyl, is Guardians of the Galaxy going to be games as a service? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the format's going to be for that game, for structure. I haven't looked into it too deeply after getting confirmation that we should see it soon. Cartoon Soldier still at C- for Microsoft show expectations. Yeah, like maybe just a solid C now. Because I think I've heard that the what they're going to show for Typhoon is going to be pretty impressive. It's going to be CG stuff, but I think the thing that they're going to promise with that world might be good. That's what I've heard. That could be wrong. Maybe it's just like a title treatment. That's the thing. That's why I'm like at a C, because this stuff could really go either way. Halo's going to be Halo. And then we have, Avowed and Omen, all this other stuff, or not Avowed, I'm sorry, Omen and Project Typhoon. And if Typhoon and Omen are really just like, here's a studio and they're making a game, here's the title screen, and then we move on and that's it, like that's not enough. That I will not care for that, and that will be disappointing. If there's CG trailers that promise something very cool and like really suggest what the games could be, that's what I want, and I want to be excited about that side of stuff. And that could go that could easily push the show into B territory. And then then Starfield's the X factor. If Starfield is fantastic and does look as promising as I hope it could, then we're going to be up in the A, and I'll be very happy. I don't think there's any reality where this show gets to like A plus best of all time territory, but it could be a really, really solid Xbox show. Still lots of questions. I'm trying to pick out a few here. I have absolutely no idea what to expect from Nintendo, which is weird. I really just wanted to see something for Breath of the Wild 2. Expect a lot of Zelda. There'll be a lot of Zelda stuff, or at least like a hefty Zelda chunk where they probably mention what's going on with Breath of the Wild 2. Remind people that Skyward Sword HD is coming out, and then talk about the dual pack of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. And then they'll probably bring that all together under the Zelda 35th anniversary celebration, and I bet there will be some merch we could buy and things like that to really spend a lot of money on Zelda stuff. And then that sounds like that Mario plus Rabbids 2 and things like that. Why would Omen be a CGI trailer when it's supposed to come out in the spring? I don't think it's supposed to come out in the spring. Omen is not spring, because Omen's like a first party published game, and the only big first party published games coming out next year I think are Starfield and Forza Motorsport, and then Omen's going to be like early 2023. Omen or Typhoon, I actually can't remember. Don't write that down. Omen or Typhoon are kind of in that range, I think. Omen could be a little bit further off, but I don't think Omen's supposed to be spring. Fabulon says, you also said Starfield was 2021. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said it could be. I never said I heard that. I never said it would be. I said I thought it could be because they're going to announce it. They're clearly going to announce it this E3. That's what I said. I always heard that it was going to be at this E3. And then I said, doesn't it make a lot of sense for them to do what they've always done, where they then release it that fall, just like they did with Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 and their games recently. That's worked out really well for them. They seem to like that. That was always speculation, and the only date I've ever said that I've heard is 2022 for Starfield. That's the only one that I've got that is sourced, that is that I can back up with with sources. Sorry, let me close this. Will any indies from the Xbox showcase last year be at Keeley's show? I don't know. I think a few of them are going to be at that Tribeca show, which is happening sometime. I can't keep track of when that's happening. But I think like Sable and a few other things are going to be there, and I think that was at that Xbox show last year. I do wonder where Tunic is going to show up, or if it does show up at any of these things, because it was at that like Steam Fest thing earlier this year. But I don't know. I'm not sure about Keeley in terms of indies. No offense, man. You did say Starfield was 2020. You said it on a live stream. I'm pretty sure it was always speculation. If I did, I was misspeaking. But I never heard. I know for a fact I never heard it was 2021. I think I said it was probably leaning that way, and I was leaning that way because of it was going to get announced at this E3, or not announced, but they were going to re-reveal it at this E3, and it was always based on that. Unannounced games you are personally looking forward to this year. I don't know. There's not much because we know about most things. I guess I don't know what Nintendo's full lineup this holiday looks like. I will enjoy like playing through Wind Waker again on the Switch. I'm like really looking forward to that. I'll actually beat Twilight Princess this time because my Wii got stolen when I was playing through Twilight Princess the first time, and I had not beaten Twilight Princess. So I'll try to beat it this time. Project Athens is a new game. I'm from Greece. I need to know more, man. Man, you tell me. I do not know what Athens is. Like I said, I guess it might be... The best guess I have right now is that it's some sort of online multiplayer test for Halo. I think there was some other like Greek or Roman name associated with Halo previously, and that's why I think that, but we'll see. Is Wind Waker HD a guarantee for E3? Like, yeah, they'll do they'll do some sort of thing where they, like, yeah, they'll bund it together with Twilight Princess, and I imagine it's going to be the HD versions that got released for Wii U, right? So yeah, yeah, we'll see that. It's Project Athia. I don't think it's Project Athia. That's the one that got turned into for Forspoken. Is that right? I can't remember. I can't keep track of those either. Uh, yeah, there's the Neo style Final Fantasy game. We should see that Final Fantasy Origin, I think is what the rumored title is. That makes a lot of sense. I do hope we see Sports Story. Do you have any idea what NetherRealm Studios is working on? No, honestly, I'm like, because we're not hearing about it at this E3. That makes me think we're going to hear about it at DC Fandom because it's Infamous 3. That's kind of what I think. But I would love to be wrong and have them work on something new or do a Marvel versus the DC game like everyone hopes. That would be great, but I have no idea. Any third-party games released day one on Game Pass? That's I don't think there's gonna be anything huge announced at E3. I think that that Athens is actually, the other day I said Scarlet Nexus was going to be day one, and I was getting mixed up because I thought Athens referred to that. That's the problem that I was having in my brain. That's why I hadn't started looking into it until recently, because I'm like, that's what that is for some reason. I don't know why. I just got conflicted. There was a lot of information, and that's one thing that happened there. But there's something like, we know the Ascent is going to be day one, right? They already announced that. So like there's stuff like that that's already been announced. But in terms of like big games, I don't think anything's going to be announced at E3, just because most big games are still months off, and these E3 deal or these Game Pass day one deals get made pretty close to launch for bigger games. From Elden Ring asking Silent Hill. Listen, you're getting Elden Ring. Just be grateful for that. Silent Hill's a big question mark because Konami, remember, pulled out of E3, and Sony's not here, who reportedly is trying to make a Silent Hill game. I think if we don't get Silent Hill at Summer Game Fest, we probably won't get it for a while still. I have no idea about Silent Hill. Please don't make me the new. If you want to know about Silent Hill, go ask Nate the Hate. Do you think Xbox will announce a studio acquisition on Sunday? I'm more confident now than I was before, or more convinced, I guess I would say, than I was before. But I'm still hesitant about it happening at E3. I don't. The only reason they'd have to rush it is because they feel like they want to fill out that they want to like fill out the excitement quota a little bit more. And they did not seem interested in or they seemed fine with what they had a few weeks ago. But I guess they could be feeling, a little shaky in their boots about what they have and want to get people more excited and want to rush these things to happen. And especially if they're like looking at buying these studios down the line anyhow, maybe it makes sense just to get it done for E3. So there's a good chance. Let's see here. Reservoir Dogs, another 100 cheer bits. Thank you so much. Jeff, if you could will any game sequel into existence, what would it be? Mine would be The Darkness 3. That's a good answer. I Advance Wars. Yeah, if I could will anything into existence, a sequel, it would be a new Advance Wars. Previously, it would have been a new Metroid Prime, but we're still waiting for that. So it was clearly I was not just willing into existence. I wished upon a monkey's paw. Uh, have you seen Tom Warren's tweet about 26 Studios? I haven't seen it, but I've heard it. I've heard it, and I've heard that before that I've heard about like the 3 studios that were being mentioned, and so yeah, we'll see. Daily Pro, no. Kojima, I don't. Oh, if Kojima's at Summer Game Fest, it won't be for the Xbox deal. It will be for something else, which could happen, but I have no idea. I think it would be fun to do just a regular 2D Advance Wars, but I understand they would probably want to do something new. I don't know. I think just as long as it has a good art style, I think it's really easy to mess up those turn-based strategy games with a 3D kind of crappy art style. Make it really easy to understand visually, and that would require really good art direction. Do you think there will be any big surprises at all? I don't know. I don't know. It's tough to say. Um, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how Starfield looks. I think if Starfield looks really good, that'll be a nice surprise. But I know that's not what you mean. Um, I guess the big hope is Nintendo, right? Nintendo could still surprise us. I think if Sony were here, I think Sony might be in a situation if they weren't leaking to surprise us as well. But yeah, Nintendo might have something. I hope they do. Any info on that GameStop thing? Yeah, it's a good thing. I should have brought that up earlier. Yeah, that whole thing was on Wednesday. There should be a lot of Xbox Series X's at GameStop. Like, you should have an easier chance of buying it then than you've had up to this point. And then the day before Tuesday, which is the day of the Nintendo Direct, it seems like Nintendo is going to be doing a lot of Zelda 35 promotions. And one of them is, if you haven't seen, it got everywhere yesterday. Zelda poster. You get a Zelda poster if you spend like $30 on Zelda merchandise or a Nintendo Switch at GameStop. And so clearly this is part of Nintendo's Zelda 35th anniversary celebration and stuff like that. So maybe there'll be some other stuff to go along with that. But GameStop is expecting a pretty big rush for Nintendo related stuff that day, it seems like. R. Phelps, do you just know that much about the Xbox conference that you know you won't be surprised? I'm pretty sure that I know it all. Yeah, it's just, I'm pretty sure. There's some like conflicting stuff out there, but like over time, as I like look into it, it seems like no, all the stuff I've heard originally still seems to be right. And no one recently has told me anything new. And maybe they'll surprise me. And I, one of the big surprises could be this acquisition, but now that's leaking, right? So yeah. I don't know. I don't expect. I'm not going to get my hopes up is the thing. So I'm not going to get my hopes up for some big surprise and then dock them in terms of like, because we're going to be reacting to these things afterwards each night on the podcast, and I don't want to go in there and be like, well, they didn't surprise me because I leaked everything. Like, that's unfair and stupid. I'd be pretty like, I'm already kind of like, trying to set people's expectations, and part of that is kind of suggesting the things that are going to be there, and then to complain on the other side that there weren't any surprises would be pretty weird. I wouldn't do that. So yeah. Hey, if they surprise me though, that'd be great, but I'm not going to expect it. 2 minutes till pre-show. You know what? Thank you for that. Yes, let's wrap it up. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm sure that it's not going to be anything like it's just going to be a pre-show, but I don't want to miss a second of Jeff Keeley. Do you? Absolutely not. That is unacceptable. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm going to put this up on YouTube. If you watched later, thank you so much. And if I'm wrong about anything, be sure to let me know in the comments. Yeah, I appreciate everybody. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.